Okay. Then we'll move on with the agenda. And the first things we have are items for consideration. And the first of those is consider and take action necessary regarding passage of an ordinance establishing a no-truck zone on Kelly Lane from St. John's Drive to South Dallas Avenue. Any discussion on that?
Yes, sir. Council has a draft that legal is prepared. We can start with comments or questions, or do you want to clarify or state anything, Julie, before we get going?
No, I think it's fairly self-explanatory. There are a few exceptions like school buses, emergency vehicles. It's the only possible route to get to their designation. But otherwise, it would be an offense to take a truck over a certain weight down that portion of Kelly Lane.
So, among the definitions then, there are definitions for authorized emergency trucks and for light trucks and vehicles that we want lawfully to be able to travel.
Yes, sir.
On that road. Is there any other questions?
Yes, on section 4, item 2, the public street was the only route to such destination. That seems broad. I mean, if they are pulled over, they can just say this is the only way to get there, or you have to actually prove it's the only way to get there.
They would have to prove it was the only way to get there.
Okay. So like if they had blocked, say, Village Parkway and there was no other way or something like that.
Yes.
Mr. Moore? Mr. Blake? No. I guess I should just ask who's in favor.
Did you have any questions?
I have none. Oh, you know, actually I do. There is one, and it's not. It would not prohibit truck traffic, but there at the service road to County Line Road, and where that service road turns onto Kelly Lane and goes northward, would there be any problem with putting a sign there that says that there is no through routes for trucks? It wouldn't prohibit them traveling north, but it would let them know that up ahead that they were going to run into a problem.
You could give a warning sign that they're headed towards a route where they're going to have to turn and not be able to go eventually. That would be permissible.
And that wouldn't necessarily even be a part of this ordinance. Would need to be mandated in the ordinance.
It would not. Yeah, that'd be all traffic signs are required to meet the Uniform Traffic Control Manual, and so it would designate how the sign would look and what it would say.
And we have an ordinance that authorizes you to place a sign like that.
I confer with engineering. We make sure it is appropriate. I'll notify council that I'm appropriate signage.
Now I have a question.
Okay.
On light trucks, is there a definition that says, I mean, I know it says 2,000 pounds, but is that a 250, a 350 truck?
Typically a 2,000 pounds, like a half-ton pickup.
So that's a bucket.
Yes, sir.
So like guys that drive 250s, I don't know why we would restrict them from, I mean, these are just regular trucks anymore.
And we could bump it up if you want to allow 1 ton, and that's perfectly allowed.
I think that is a 1-ton truck.
Well, that's what I didn't know. I don't know. That's why I think we need to state it in 1 ton, 1/4 ton, or 3/4 ton,
Okay.
something like that instead of. Can we do
Instead
that?
of pound, I think 2,000 pounds is a
Is it
1
1
ton.
Okay, my bad.
So that's a 350?
I don't know.
I think so. Okay.
Well, like,
see that? That's the problem is nobody knows what it is.
The officers will know.
I think the tags that are on trucks tell you what the maximum carrying
Okay.
capacity is.
Okay.
So if it exceeds 2,000 pounds.
And as a question along with that is it says panel delivery trucks. Is that like a UPS truck?
yes, sir.
Okay, the UPS truck you drive.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to have us add something there that's, indicated the size, the type of the trucks. It's a little more fine. Is that
We
possible?
could also insert, we could have 2,000 pounds and we could designate 1 ton as
Okay,
well.
okay.
Would it not be better to put a gross vehicle weight maximum in there? Because then essentially because if we're talking about box trucks and different things like this, I mean, a UPS truck, you know, if we're talking about trying to keep certain weights off of it, I think that's really what our target is. And if they're having to pick and choose what kind of, all right, that truck is a little too big, but that one's bigger, but it's okay because it meets a box truck standard. I think our gross vehicle weight would probably be a better standard, because most of your trucks are rated that way in carry capacities. So you follow what I'm saying?
I do, and Billy's correct, it is a 1-ton truck, as opposed to a half-ton. So a light truck is going to be a 1-ton.
For discussion, I think that there's such a variance in gross vehicle weights among even models and model years. I don't know if we can, one truck might just be built sturdier, however, the carrying capacity is still just listed as 1 ton.
Yes, sir. So a light truck, it stops the capacity right at 1 ton. So light truck should mean any truck with manufacturer's rated carrying capacity of 2,000 pounds or less, including trucks commonly known as pickup trucks, panel delivery trucks, and carry-all trucks. So anything over that, hot shot truck, that's a truck with a flatbed on the back of it, not a tractor trailer rig, would be outside of this. So it'd be a 1-ton pickup. 1-ton pickup would be allowed. Anything over that would be disallowed.
Just for, is a 1 ton a 3, is that a 350?
Like a Ford 350 is a 1-ton, yes,
Or a
sir.
Chevrolet.
Or like a Chevrolet be a 35.
35.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So if we start getting off in brands, you know.
Yeah, it wouldn't be possible to list
Yeah.
every.
We'd be in bad shape.
Okay.
So this is fairly general.
Where do RVs fit?
RVs, well, I don't know
And
what
where do
I don't know
RVs?
what the carrying capacity of an RV is.
350's pulling a cab over trailer that weighs way more.
Sure. Well, I mean,
Are we going to?
it's gonna, well, I mean, it's gonna allow, if a 1-ton's pulling like a fifth wheel or a bumper pull trailer, it's gonna allow that. Because we're talking about the vehicle itself and not necessarily.
I'm just thinking about the original problem was not the weight of the vehicle. The original problem was the being able to turn a corner.
I understand.
Would it be better to not allow trailers over a certain length? If
We
we
could,
indicate that you can't have more than a 15-foot trailer on the back of a vehicle, which that should be able to turn the corners, and that allow your mowers and people like that to get through. But that wouldn't allow big guys with big, fifth wheelers on the back of it, because they probably can't make those corners.
Understood. So you'd probably want to stop it. I mean, if you're going to add anything, I don't think I would modify the size of the truck.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
But you're correct. But probably add a sentence that states nothing over a 16-foot trailer or something like that.
And that
Maybe
takes
cool.
care of all your semis and that kind of stuff, because
For the turning radiuses that we're looking at, Lynn, I mean, a 16-foot is going to be our max, or a 20-foot trailer possibly.
Probably 16.
16, probably where to stop.
Okay.
And that'd be easy to regulate for PD. I mean, how do we regulate it?
So we want to, really, it's a dual thing. You want under 2,000 pounds carrying capacity and shorter than 16 feet, or you just, if
No,
it's
just-
shorter than 16 feet, we don't care about the.
Any
weight.
trailer with 16 foot is prohibited.
16 foot or less.
Okay. Yeah, the full length. We would add a definition for trailer, and then under 3 in the definition section, and then in section 3 under regulation, where B says the through truck traffic is prohibited, we would also add that the trailer traffic in excess of that length is prohibited to that section.
How does that sound? Okay.
Now, your fire trucks can't go in there because they're bigger than one ton.
They are, but it
They're excluded up
qualifies
here.
for emergency response.
Authorized emergency.
In the,
Your ambulances too.
yes, sir, fire trucks, yes, sir. Authorized emergency trucks, I mean, fire department trucks, police trucks, public ambulances, for which permits been issued by the State Board of Health, emergency trucks, municipal departments, public service corporations, as are designated, authorized by the governing body of the incorporated city. Private trucks operated by volunteer firemen, certified emergency medical volunteers while answering fire alarm, responding to a medical emergency. Trucks owned by the state or political subdivision engaged in emergency utility repair for electric, water, or wastewater services. So a tech line truck would be allowed if we're looking at utility trucks. So, but they don't tend to be tractor trailer rigs, and they're providing utility service.
Trash trucks,
What's that mean?
trash trucks.
Trash trucks. We have,
I didn't see that either.
correct? Where would, let's see. Where would solid waste trucks fall, Julie?
Yeah, I guess technically they're franchised through the city. They're not actually city vehicles, so we could make that specification for utility, expand the utilities. It's got water, electric, and wastewater. We
Yes,
could
ma'am.
add solid waste.
Okay. Very good question.
Solid waste as contracted with the city, correct? Not just.
Yeah,
someone decided to
yes.
drive.
Well, Mr. Blick also mentioned RVs. Decide that they are covered. I don't really see it.
If we had 16-foot bill, it's gonna be a little bit harder.
That's just right, 16 foot.
Yes, sir.
Which was, I mean, but I'm,
So an
you're talking about
Yes, sir. So an
driving RV.
Yes, sir. So an RV would be prohibited.
But if we're talking about our problem, our turning radius, the real issue is length of the vehicle,
Right.
less,
Turning radius.
and there's box trucks that are pretty big and RVs that are pretty long. You can't make that turn, not without problems. I'm thinking overall vehicle length is more important than whether or not it's a one-ton truck or not. Because actually you have a better turning radius with an F-450 truck versus an F-350 truck. It's just the way they're built. But when it's pulling a 20, 30-foot trailer, there's a problem.
Well, does the weight of what's on the trailer affect the damage to the edge of the roadway?
Only in the turning radius when it gets up. But yeah, Russ, to answer your question, probably a 20-foot vehicle length, because that's a regular parking spot depth that you would normally see. Anything over that requires a larger turning radius. You know, it goes from 20 feet up to probably 35-foot turning radius at that point.
Well, should we go ahead and try to amend this with, I mean, you guys have come up with a number of exceptions, and they're good ones. Should we try to amend this now, or should it be tabled for more consideration? It's not an emergency.
It seems like we're inside the realm of getting it resolved. It's honestly, it's up to council, but I mean, it sounds like where we are is solvable. Does that sound correct, Julie, or are you gonna need some more time with it?
With what's been said so far, I think we're good, but if we're gonna keep going, we might,
Need to table it?
we might bring them back clean one with everything in there and be able to read it one more time.
So, okay, with the standard length is 20 foot. So what's a double cab long bed? Typically, how long is that truck? 24?
I want to say my truck's 20 foot long, at least.
Oh, that's right.
24? So, I mean,
There is a classification of vehicle of the single unit, which includes the box trucks and everything like that. And I'll have to take a look and see what that wheelbase is. You might go all the way back to 37 feet, but I'll have to check.
but then we're into RVs if we go into 37 feet.
Right, and then you're into RVs at that point, so. I'd have to do some research on the turning radiuses for the different single unit wheelbases to do that, to figure out what that is. But if she's directed to put in single units maximum length, we can figure out what that is, bring it back to you for, you know.
For single unit, you're talking about truck and or trailer,
Right.
total length.
No hinge, right, there's no hinge in it.
It's 32, what, 32 is the typical
Well,
RV.
Class C motorhome is probably about 40.
Okay.
I think in the Class C ones, the one look like a van on the front of them. No, they're not that big, are they? I thought they were like 35. But that's what I wouldn't mind. I mean, those could get through, I would think. But you know, anything bigger than 35 or 40 feet should not be on the road. That's a single RV type thing.
Excuse me.
And any trailer bigger than 16 foot.
Yeah, just listening to what Bill is saying and what Brendan said, I think that we need engineering to let us know what the maximum
Yeah.
length should be to navigate our streets. So
Yeah.
I'm going to move that we table this to the next meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a motion to table for the next council meeting.
Before we table it, could we make sure we got them looking for everything we want to do? And then we table it.
Okay, sorry, I thought we were done with that.
So is that everything? You guys got what we need to know?
I think so. I've got, we're going to include within the exception the franchisee for the solid waste.
Right.
The total length of a trailer will be 16 feet.
Well,
Engineering
whatever.
is going to determine what the maximum length for a single unit type truck
Yeah.
can be to fit on the street, and then we'll incorporate the maximum trailer length and the maximum single unit length into the ordinance.
Okay. Now, second motion.
Second, all in favor of tabling this item? It's unanimous. So we'll table until the next regular council meeting. July 24th, or 14th, rather, July 14th at 6:30. So moving on to the next item, it's item number 6, discussion regarding an ordinance repealing ordinance number 389B as amended April 16th, 1998, July 13th, 1999, August 31st, 1999, and April 9th, 2002, and adopting a new subdivision ordinance which includes but is not limited to general provisions, including the adoption of a city design manual, procedures for plat approval, including administrative plats, preliminary plats, final plats, replats, miscellaneous plats, and abandonments and plan development districts, design and construction standards, apportionment and legal provisions, including penalty, severability, and appealing clauses, and an effective date. We have a discussion on those, on that item.
Yes, sir. Council, again, this is just a discussion. Action is not to be taken. Trying to get input. If y'all had an opportunity to make it through the comprehensive subdivision ordinance proposed, be willing to address any questions, legal engineering, on the technical side, anything that's general. Happy to start taking notes if y'all thought of anything. a good document, but I mean, if you think it's a good document, we'll keep moving forward on it. Legal has a draft of the ordinance, but again, we won't be able to take any actions.
Those who might not know, we have had two workshops already on this topic. It's not like it's brand new to us. We've been working on it. And so, is there any further discussion? Mr. Moore? So now we can just, there's no action required, we can move on to agenda item number 7, which is discussion regarding a request by the owner agent of 14.320 acres of the property described as being a part of the James McKinney Survey, abstract number 770, being a part of the 43.976 acre tract of land conveyed by warranty deed from Mont Hendricks, Joanne Davidchick, and Sandra Watkins to Village Land Partners LP on November 29, 2007, recorded in volume 4367, page 337, official public records, Grayson County, Texas, to rezone a portion of the property from the current zoning of single-family 1 residential district to planned development. The property described is located on the north side of Blasingame Avenue and south of Graywood Drive. This is a discussion regarding the lady. You want to go ahead with the presentation?
Yeah, and I'll just say a few short words. And my name is Ryan Combs. I am newer with the Palladium team. I know that a number of you have already met Tom and Scott with our team. I've been with the Palladium team a little less than a year, but we are very excited to be back with you today. I know Palladium, before I was with the team, has been working with the city for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, on bringing a fantastic senior community to the city of Van Alstyne. And so I'm very happy to report that we're through the state's vetting process. They've completed the review of our application. And out of 50 or so applications that were submitted all over Region 3, which is all of Dallas-Fort Worth, that whole region, our application is the very top scoring app in all of Dallas-Fort Worth. And so we are in line for funding. That's ready to go. We are expecting the board at the TDHCA to vote and distribute that funding at the end of July. And so we're very excited about that. Wanted to give you that great news because we are ready to go. Our goal is to get this thing going and to break ground before the end of the year. And so we can get this and start working on it. So when we have now started taking the next step, I know that Tom and Scott, you guys have seen the concept, that Spanish kind of architecture a number of times. You've seen that, and that community is an actual community. It's called Mariposa Hunter Road in San Marcos. And the architect that designed that community, we've engaged that same architect, and we said, okay, so this is the concept that council has voted to support a couple of times, and this is the concept we've all gotten excited about, and this is what we want to do. So let's take this concept and let's make it better. Let's do something that when we put it up, people that are driving up and down I-75 are going to look at it and go, whoa, what is that? And we want something that, anytime we do a development in the future, we can say, hey, go to Van Alstyne and see that because it's going to knock your socks off. So that's what we did. We took that Spanish style concept and we sat down and we came up with this site plan, which you've already seen, and these elevations. So this is the 3-story building, and this is a concept of the 1-story building. And the idea was when we sat down with our architects, we were not trying to hit certain numbers on materials. What we wanted to do is we wanted to be true to the concept that we've all gotten excited about, do something that looks high-end and is going to look high-end for a long time. And so that's what we did. And so we've got a mixture of stone and stucco, but it's got this fantastic 3-story building, which I don't know if you have the site plan in front of you. If you don't, I'll pass some out. But we got this 3-story building with a club right in the middle of it, and it's got this dramatic kind of front entrance to it, which is really just going to be sharp. And so we're very excited about that. In fact, this you can see, and I think it's in the plan development you have, we included on the exhibit the elevation of the rear of the club, I believe. Didn't we, Frank? Okay, good. Yeah, I see it right there. And what you can see is the rear of the club is virtually the same thing as the front, but it's got a big porch that goes all the way across, because at the back side you want to have this big, outdoor living space. But it's basically the same materials, with the stone going all the way up and the stucco towers, and it looks very, very Spanish. And actually, through this whole process, I've learned that there's a difference between Spanish Mission and Spanish Colonial. And I don't understand all the differences between that, but Spanish Colonial is a little more high-end. In fact, the development that we looked at to kind of get our bearings and kind of our inspiration from is a resort in San Antonio called La Cantera Resort. It's just this beautiful Spanish colonial resort. We took that and took some of the architectural elements as some of our inspiration, and this is what we've come up with. We're extremely excited about it. We bring this to you today to really kind of kick off our process. We will be going through and going through all of the permitting and all of that. We will be bringing back site plans and all that kind of stuff for everybody to see. But again, we are really so grateful to have been working with the city and for the city to have stuck with us this second round this year. But we got it done. We're ready to go get this thing. So thank you. If you have any questions, we're here to be glad to answer.
The stucco, is this the kind of stucco that you're going to utilize with the color in it, or is it going to be painted?
Stucco will be natural three-coat stucco. It won't be chemical colored. It'll be cement-based gray. It's painted any one of a number of different colors. The pre-finished, pre-colored stucco usually is very muted color, bleeds out, fades out very rapidly. So this, our intent is to repaint the building anytime over its lifespan. So the natural stucco is the correct product.
It's a three-coat, right, as opposed to a one-coat?
Yes, three-coat, as opposed to the traditional single-coat stucco used on many multi-family developments. We're going with a three-coat application, more commonly in commercial construction techniques. That's all.
Is it fair to say now the one-coat stucco that you referred to, is that something that's commonly used in more arid parts of the country?
Well, the single-coat stucco, commonly referred to as Magnawall, is a stucco product with glass fibers integrated into it. It was very popular for, I'm going to probably say about 15, 20 years. But the product has inherent issues, problems with it that usually don't materialize or 10, 15 years down the road. It's still common, it's still used. We're not using it because we know it's an inferior product. But the three-coat is traditional. That's what you would have seen for decades, except you kind of went to a lesser cost product about 15 years ago. But we're not using that product at all.
The single coat, I used to see it used a lot in Mexico and Arizona, and it seemed to work well enough there.
Well, the thing is, it probably does work better in arid climates, okay? Here in Texas, just based on our own practical experience, it really is not the best product to use in Texas. It's just not the product that people thought it was a few decades ago, just like ethos was not the product people thought it was, and then they made some changes like that. By far and large, it's a lesser product, it's less quality, and less good.
Questions? We're going to move move on into an executive session now, and I need to tell you what the executive session is about. We have 3 items to discuss in the executive session. First will be to convene an executive session pursuant to section 551.074, personnel matters, in parentheses, conduct interviews and deliberate the appointment of a public officer, specifically a city council member, to fill the vacancy created by the forfeiture of Larry. The second item, convene into executive session pursuant to section 551.072, real property, parentheses, regarding the purchase, lease, and value of real property located at or near industrial park. And the third item is convene into executive session pursuant to section 551.071, consultation with city attorney, in parentheses, regarding the Palladium USA Senior Housing Plan Development Ordinance. And the time now that I have is 6:45, and so we'll recess at this time and then convene the executive session at 7:50. And since most of you know, we have there's only one room, so the executive session will have to occupy this room. And I hate to say this, but this may take a while. I'm not sure. 6:50. Oh, pardon me, 6:50. The time is now 6:45. We're going to recess and convene the executive session at 6:50. Anyone who wants to hang around, and we'll call everyone back in the executive session. Appreciate your patience. The executive session. The time is 9:27 p.m. and we're going to reconvene the open meeting. I need to tell you first that no need to string you along, but as for the appointment of a council member for place 1, we're not able to take any action. It's too difficult, and we're going to look at it again in July. So the July meeting is going to be the 14th, I believe, yes. Tuesday, July 14th at 6:30. And once again, we're going into an executive session on that question, selection of appointee for place 1. And so otherwise, what's left to us this evening is to have questions and discussion regarding the rezoning and the Palladium project.
Mayor and council.
Oh, and so, well, ask for questions and questions that you have or any discussion.
Mayor and council, again, we have Tom Huff, Scott Johnson, and Ryan Connors. I have the most contact with Ryan. I can't remember his name. And they're here to answer your questions.
So, Ms. Kevin, yeah, section of questions?
Yeah, I do. What doesn't show on here are any of the transitory walkways. So my questions to start with have to do with that. Where are the walking trails that we have heard about?
Well, the walking trails are not shown yet because the actual routing has not been determined as of yet. We do clarify that it's greater than 6 feet wide, it would be accessible to all units. But the routing will be determined after we get more amenities in place and our exercise stations that we plan to put in along the pathway to make it work cohesively, and we'll be working along with that with our landscape architect.
Okay, so along with that, you kind of just said that the answer to the next one is the 6-foot wide walkways. My next question was how would residents in motorized wheelchairs or walkers, things of that nature, get from those back periphery areas to say the clubhouse and people?
Okay.
So,
We'll have to determine all that when we get our landscape architect to work out with the landscape plans.
all right, so and tell us about the parking, the plan for parking is at this point?
Right now, currently we have 228 parking spaces. We have 40 spaces covered with carports. We have 6 garages, and those are 82.
It's whatever's on this, when we went to, in the discussion of planning and zoning, is that the planning and zoning wanted to add 10 open spaces. We show 172 on this, and planning and zoning, what came out of that conversation, they wanted to add 2.
Add that you were asking to come down.
We had originally, well, this is what we were proposing, what is on here.
We have 182 open spaces. And like I said, 140 covered. And we have 6 parked garages. And we have, and then 18, we have 12 for visitation. And
12 for visitation.
And what he means by that is that those are the ones outside of the gates up front. Obviously, visitors can park anywhere in the community. But the 12 visitor spots are the ones that are outside the gates.
Okay, so you said though that it was up by P&Z 10, but we understand that it was down a significant number of spaces from what you originally presented.
well, initially we had it count to meet the city ordinance, whatever, and it was 25.
Right.
Just way over the required number of spaces for a senior development.
Okay.
But this brings it back down to the more realistic total based on number of residents, drivers.
So when you say that the average number, let's say for senior residents, where does that statistic come from?
So I've got, and I know Julie has it, and I can hand it out, but I've taken the last company I was with, we developed a number of senior communities. And what we found out, we went to all of our communities, and what we really found out is that most seniors that are moving into a community like this are leaving a single-family home. And while there will be some that work, the vast majority of people that move to a living environment like this are retired. And so, I mean, the average age is going to be people in their 70s. And the first thing people do is they consolidate to one car, because all of life happens here. They're not leaving to go to work most of the time. I mean, some will, but most will not. And so the average is one space per unit. Now, what I've done in other senior communities in the past is do about 1.3 spaces per unit. So that lets you, that allows you to have some buffer, be able to program spaces. So in other words, you don't have to live here and go get your parking spot way over here because it's a full parking lot. It gives you some room without creating vacant parking lots, which is what nobody wants.
If I had that, we have, with our count, it comes out to a 1.7 space per unit, which is right up there with traditional market rate apartments. Not even close to senior apartments, right up there with market rate units. Now, the other thing is, our company, our practices, we would not live into a poor design, with an inaccurate amount of parking spaces in our own development. Okay, we're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot by saving some parking spaces.
Right, and I was just trying to understand, like, why did you come down? And
There's metrics for everything that goes into a development based on numbers, based on usage, based on any factor, based on current modeling, and that's where we end up.
To answer your question about why we came down,
Right.
when we put our application into the state wants us to show a site plan that can be current stuff. And so that's where that site plan came from. And then we start going and tweaking it and say, okay, what are we actually going to do when we start really tweaking this stuff?
okay. All the questions I
I may not be good now, Brian. Is there just one entrance into
There's an entrance off of last week, correct? Yes, it goes, and then divided into access routes. You can get to reach finding the property, keeping the ground. That way.
That's right. So this is the entrance, and there's an entrance gate right here, and an entrance gate right here.
Okay. My only concern about that would be if an emergency vehicle. Understand. And customarily, if it's less than 200 units, one entrance is typically required. If a secondary exit / entrance for emergency vehicles only, that would be added to the blasting gate at a spaced distance of no closer than 9 feet. But typically, we're far less than 200 units, so it's typically one entrance.
Terry, yes. Other questions? I'm on the senior center board, so there's a lot of people that are excited.
Oh, good.
Sure. About this. And she brought up one of my concerns too about the walkways, the ones they're on the far end.
Well, I don't want to, I could go on in today, and it might be different when we get our final design put together, so, just, the driving factor is the width, we can get two wheeled carts or whatever, side by side, and the routing, you don't want to really handcuff anybody at this point to get the best way out.
Okay, but so they just went there also.
Yeah, my questions really revolve around maintenance. And really, what's y'all's take reservations on actually doing 80% stone versus the amount you've got right now?
Well, 80% stone would be extremely heavy, okay, on this development. With the stucco, it's relatively, on our end, it's very low maintenance, high quality work. The stone is very expensive. We can only deal with dollars a hand. But at the same time, the architectural style and the product that we're proposing really runs best with a 27-35% masonry / stone facade. Your comment on maintenance is grounded, okay, because you can look around and see a lot of properties that just aren't kept up. Okay, that's a good question. An observation. We strategically look at this product. How do we maintain it to our standards? And you may hear that over and over and over until you're blue in the face. Okay, you were asked at P&Z, how often do you paint it? Well, we paint it whenever it needs it. Okay, we painted, the balconies and the railings of that particular balcony when people move out, so that's always fresh. The body of the building is painted, A, when it needs it, and B, when it needs to change styles. Okay, colors come in, colors go out. Okay, stone goes in, stone goes out. We can always change the hues of this building to keep it relevant and fresh. And that's how we look at it. We have virtually zero amounts of real wood and have a rock top and everything on fascias and soffits. That's all cementitious material. It holds paint for 20 years. Really do paints their house once every 20 years. You don't paint it well more often than that. And do that with the fence. And you're going to put a 20-year paint on the fence, and the fence that lasts that long, so you paint it again. And the second color is going to be different. So we try to get married to a certain age restriction on when it has to be painted. It really dictates when it has to be painted by how it looks, the style. And then we do our own capital improvements. Very often, probably we do it more than every other multifamily property. I can safely say with all confidence to you all that we're going to maintain the building. the ratio of products is where it needs to be, the look that it has. We're always going to keep the stuff in with prestige. It's going to be kept up. And all the products we're using are high quality, long lasting.
So where I'm having some reservations is, just to give you a little background, I worked for Trammell Crow Residential for many years. So I've got a little background in the industry, but I have a lot of concern with the amount of stucco. And it's not a negative towards your design, it's not a negative towards your company. As council members, we have to look out for the city, not only today, but thinking about the future as well. And thinking about a project right now, this is just how I'm thinking in my head right now, with this amount of stucco that's going to require painting as required, and this amount of painting is a considerable cost in maintenance. And if you're not here tomorrow, or you're no longer part of this company at some point, or this company sells its project, and the next management company doesn't have the same standards as y'all do, or your company changes within its own self in the next 10, 20, whatever years, and reduces its standards, it's still here in the city of Van Alstyne. And that's where maintenance is coming into play. I love the fact that hardy materials and soft fascia, I wish all apartment complexes would go to that. That's very durable product, holds up very well. But I've just been around so many projects with stucco that not done properly, need to be painted, don't get painted when they need to be painted, they peel, crack. The increased maintenance brings a lot of concern to me. Where I'm thinking that giving some leeway and going back to where our ordinance has, where we could do an 80-20, reduces the amount that anybody would have to maintain on the stucco side.
Well, you're right. I mean, there's no doubt everything in masonry structure. I mean, we do have, but it's a dollars and cents question on this, by the way. I mean, we're not in Frisco, and it dictates you have to have that because the rents are $1.50, $2 a square foot. You can look at Legacy Village, which is pushing $1.60, $1.70 rents and higher, and they've got products that are less masonry than this, and it's in a very expensive development, highly successful development. Your question also about the installation and all that, you're spot on. I mean, our company, initially this development was not drawn to show stucco. Okay, it was drawn with hardy siding. And our company had a period of time just shortly within the last year and a half, we were anti-stucco. Okay, and I say that because if we would have dared to put a stucco product that had a single coat that rampant in the industry, we would not put our name on it, and we wouldn't do it when we step back from that product. We have stepped forward with this product, the 3-coat stucco, which is a commercial application. It's the product that you want. It's the product that you're getting. It's a high-quality product. Now, the finish, I can go on and on because I don't want to say I'm a stucco expert, but we've had a lot of experience in this. And previously it was painted with the coating. Okay, I don't want to bore you with the details, but the coatings had some bad characteristics to the product. Okay, in the last 2 years, last 3 years, it's had a reversal to where it went from a polymer-based product to back to the acrylic-based paints. Okay, with the technique and the understanding of when you put the paint on, what you put the paint on, primer or no primer, directly has a correlation to the longevity of the product and how long the paint lasts. You put it on too soon, the alkalinity of the stucco deteriorates the paint. Okay, we know that. 5, 10, 7 years ago, no one knew that. No one cared about it. Okay, but if you do enough research, this is what you realize. And this is what you do. You practice that. Okay, so we write that in our specs that stuff was going to be sitting up there usually a huge test before you put the next product on. That's going to ensure longevity to the product. Now, you mentioned about how long do we own this building or manage it. We're into this building for 30 years. Okay, our company is 130 years old, privately held family company. It's not going to be here. Okay. We're not selling this. We're not managing it. Third party knows who's managing it for us. We're the owner. We're going to be the builder, and we're the manager. You can't get a better product than that and put your name on it when you manage it yourself and you own it for the long term.
I think what you got to understand is that,
and I'm not a Trammell Pro builder.
but we get a lot of people that make a lot of promises that don't make and don't come through. And that's what we hear from the citizens. Well, they told us this, and they didn't pull their end. So it's easy for us, and it's really great to hear those things, but that doesn't ensure our citizens, it doesn't ensure the city that that's what's actually going to happen. So, I mean, I'm not trying to insult by any means. I understand. It's complete what we hear. I mean, this is the things that we have to be diligent about, making sure that we're protecting the city and that we're not just, for lack of better words, being sold something. And I respect what you're saying, and I believe what you're saying, but the day that it doesn't happen,
Yep.
we get turned at and told,
Yeah, sure.
okay,
I mean,
so.
listen, I understand that. You look at every single family home builder that comes in, and you're gonna ask a question that has maybe bad is, and the answer is, yeah, it does in the front. And the back is naked, right? Okay. Well, we don't have a rear to this. It's a front to somebody. It's either the front on Glassing Gate, it's the front to your cottages. Okay, someone's looking at it as a front to the building. Okay, so I know the games that you can play, and they'll put a bad product up and a wooden chimney that doesn't last 7 years, and the homeowner doesn't have enough money to repair the chimney or paint it, and it goes into disrepair. I understand that. Okay, I get it. But this isn't how this is going to be run. And I can't do solid masonry building. I wish I could, okay? But I just can't. The numbers are not there to do it. But I would do it if I could. But I just can't. But I can do the best scenario in the world. And that's giving you this product. And you have to look at it from a perspective that we are the owner, builder, and manager of it. We're not flipping an apartment company that is IR driven. We build a home, and our returns are to ourselves and the long-term owners. And we told you that 2 years ago when we came to visit you all. That we're not here for the short term. We're not here to flip it. We're not going to flip it. We can't flip it. I say regulation, we can't flip it. We're married to it. Okay. One more reason I can't build a bad product. I'd be married to a bad product. I just can't do it. Not in 2015. So, product, I hope it speaks for itself. And we're going to maintain it. We're going to be proud of it, and the community's going to be proud of it. And the residents that live here are going to be proud to say, I'm 15, 20 years from now, we're still going to see palladium on it.
That's all the questions.
first one's a simple one. How many elevators are there? Three-story building.
It's one elevator for 60 units, which is perfect.
Well, then, I mean, do you not allow people with wheelchairs in that level, or
Well,
what? Tell me about that.
oh, well, yeah, I mean, we have, the three-story building has an elevator. It also has units on first floor, so really the elevator is only servicing 40 units. That's a very low unit ratio for an elevator.
Oh, okay, so that's all legal to do that.
We're exceeding, I mean, it's actually, like I said, it's a very low number of units for an elevator. And we need it because it's 3 stories, and that's a senior development.
Senior development, that's the other question I have. You guys, I want you to think back in your history, okay, of the company. How many retirement type complexes do you have now?
Well, that's a good question. Personally, we do not have any under our plate in flagship. We manage them third party. Okay, so we know what goes into that.
But you haven't built any like this one before?
Well, not restricted. Not restricted. We have developments that have a very elderly clientele.
Yeah.
They're not labeled senior developments. They weren't built for a senior development, but they congregated to be a senior development. One of our high-rises by the gallery, the Villa Morel, that's 16 stores. It's got a very elderly clientele, because it's very comfortable. Okay. Worldwide, I can't tell you how many, apartments we have throughout Europe that are geared towards senior developments. But I'm saying personally, no.
Okay, well, then, okay, you're saying geared toward, like, when you first open up, I assume that you'll require people to be at a minimum age.
So they're going to be required to be 62 years. That's
Okay.
the 380 agreement. And that's
Is there anything that keeps you from changing that?
You all can change it.
Well, okay, I meant you guys.
No.
There's no,
It's in our 380 agreement.
there's nothing that keeps you from doing it, is what you're saying.
Can't do it.
Huh?
No,
Well,
they-
the 380 agreement
Our
restricts that we cannot lease anybody under the age of 62, and that's the agreement that we have with the city.
Well,
That was-
you don't get the $57,000 if you do it, but you can choose to forego
No,
that
it's-
incentive.
I mean, if you would like to change it, we can change it, but we're 62 minimum age.
We cannot change it to anything lower than 55.
The state of Texas.
Okay, that we're mandated by the state
Oh, okay.
under this program to keep it at least 55. Early on, with the land seller said, I like 55, but can you do 62? Which is an option under the rules to do that. And we said, we like 55, and it would ensure a more successful deal, we think, because, there are a lot of people that are married to somebody, maybe they're 62, their spouse is 58.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're saying, we like 55. I said, well, no, the seller really wants the 62. We said, okay, well, we can live with that. Okay, but we can't go below, we really can't go below 62, because we're not going to jeopardize the 380 in the city.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that is mandated.
Correct me if I'm wrong, don't the 55s, doesn't that age limit allow someone, it just has to have one person be 55, or the 62, everyone has to be 62 or older?
Under the HUD guidelines, on 55, you can have just one person, but the owner can decide what they will allow on the property. Okay, so our guidelines would be that everyone, right now this property will be run, you've got to be 62 years of age or older. If you're married with a spouse that's younger than 62, either you got to live separately or you got to find someplace else to live.
That's all.
Can I ask one more? So, with regards to that, obviously it's hypothetical. If you're not meeting your, not getting it rented out with that stipulation, what would you be trying, what would be your plan of action to get it rented out?
I would probably say, a lot of that's going to be a new marketing plan. It's all about the management and the marketing of it. We can go further out, specialized marketing into it. But if it's not performing, that's we would have to be responsible for that. But we're not lowering any of the standards to fill it up as well.
Part of that is we've got an application with the state of Texas, and that's it. And what we agreed to with the state of Texas is that it's age restricted. For a point item, we had to have it in this 380 agreement, we had to have this funding item. So that was a criteria by the state of Texas, so we can't just go give that up. So if the question is, if things get tough, are we going to go change things to kind of make sure we can get leased up? But there's certain things we can't go monkey with the state because then we get it. We can't go monkey with the state because that would screw up the whole business. I mean, not just here, but we can't go mess ourselves up at the state level. And so the state is requiring us for minimum 15 years to maintain everything that we put in the application.
And the state does inspections, we do our own audits of every lease file to guarantee and make sure that no one's on site that's below the 55 or below the 62. And so all that happens, it's audited every year. So there's so many checks and balances on it, both financially and physically. That it's a program. There's really no deviation from what we say is going to happen. And the state doesn't allow, we don't allow it. It's a pretty stringent program. Unlike the full market rate development that we can do, charge what we want to, do what we want to. This program has a lot more parameters. Okay, a lot more people working over it.
As for the, now that's not a state requirement, that's local, that's in our 380.
The 62 is, the 55 is a state requirement because we have, for us to be funded, we are on record with the state of Texas as an age-restricted development. And we can't change that with the state.
And if the absolute 62 was causing a problem, so you couldn't take this stuff, and the city was at some point amenable to change it, if we were amenable to changing our ordinance to say somebody has to be 62, and no one younger than 55, then that's okay with you guys.
You're right, we could do that at the city level, but we could, even if you guys said you can rent to a 30-year-old, we can't do that at the state level. I mean, we can't go below 55.
All right.
So we have that question about caregivers and all that. It's pretty restrictive on 62. That's part of the agreement. Different types there, type 2 and type 3. Those are all in the courtyard area, is that right? Yes. Are those different kinds of buildings? Yes, one is a 2-bedroom, and one is a 1-bedroom. Okay, I just look at it closer.
Yeah, the type 2 here are all 1-bedrooms. If it says A, that means it's 1 bedroom. If it says B, it's a 2-bedroom. So type 2 is all 2-bedrooms.
Okay, well, I guess my question is, why are the percentages up there on materials different?
Oh, that's a good question, and a very easy question. So you may not be able to see it in here. Can I bring this over, show it to you? Because the theming, again, it's about trying to create the right theme. So what we've got is we've got stucco towers that are communicate with the three-story building, and then we've wrapped the stone around. Well, on the type, this is an elevation of the type 2 building. That's kind of looking like this. So if you look at that, there's the tower, there's the wrap. And so you just have less walls to wrap on this building, keeping the same theming. So you have stucco here, stone, stucco here, stone. So you have stone here, 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 here on this one. So you have, it's just keeping the same theming is what it is.
On to Mayor and Council closing comments. Blake, do you have any comments? Closing comments? Mr. President? Closing comments? It wasn't for action, so. Just discussion.
I'm sorry. I guess I've been here too long. I was going to get her to say something about, we had our Keep in Alstyne Beautiful membership, annual membership drive last night. We had a very good turnout, so we're hoping to get that rejuvenated, get everybody through cleaning up the bridge. So I was going to give her a chance.
Do you have a 4th of July celebration?
Yes, ma'am, we sure do. We have Friends of the Library breakfast, first thing that morning, 4th of July, that Saturday, here in the community center. Bob Bishop and I think Paul are heading up the car show that we run outside on Preston. And then that evening, we want everybody here, I'd like to see y'all at the high school. 30 minutes after dark, we'll be having a fireworks display that we've been having the last few years. So please don't bring any alcoholic beverages or fireworks of your own, especially sparklers. So thank everybody for coming. Yes, sir.
On the 4th of July, is there really any flag raising and stuff?
I have not heard, that's a good question, I would assume so. Yes, sir. I don't know if they're going to do Dorothy Fielder or on J Road, but I would assume that the American Legion are flag raising. Good question.
And on July 11th, the following Saturday, the Boy Scouts are going to have a fundraiser. They're going to have a lot of good food and another car show just up the road at North Park. So that'll be a good time. And besides that, it is 2 minutes after 10. Everybody's probably ready to go home. I'll make a motion. Second. And all in favor?